Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. You know, in the last few months, we have been seeing this game of one-upsmanship for each state to see how egregious they can get in stripping its citizens of their constitutional rights. And in fact, we've literally seen the competition with who can come up with the dumbest gun law the quickest. And there have been many, many states that have thrown their hat in it. But one state always seems to lead the charge when it comes to complete idiocracy when it comes to their gun laws. And today is no exception, because we have what may be one of the dumbest proposals we've yet to see. So today, let's spend a few minutes and talk about New York introducing America's dumbest gun law yet. Okay, so the bill that we're talking about today out of the state of New York is Assembly Bill 4271. It has a Senate companion bill of 803. It is sponsored by Representative O'Donnell. It has been introduced, read on the floor, and now currently sits in committee. Now, what would this piece of brilliant legislation do? If enacted into law, it would forbid, make illegal, any FFL in the state of New York from selling a child-operated firearm. And you sit there and you go, wow, I've been around guns my entire life. I have never heard the term child-operated firearm. Well, the reason you've never heard it is because it doesn't exist until now, because the state of New York wants to redefine certain types of firearms to be classified as child-operated firearms. Now, to really understand the absurdity of this law, one need look only no further than the language of the bill itself. Let's take a look at how the bill reads. The penal law is amended by adding a new section 265.18 to read as follows. Sale of child-operated firearms child-proofing. 1. No person, firm, limited liability company, or corporation engaged in the retail business of selling rifles, shotguns, or firearms shall sell, deliver, or transfer any child-operated firearm to another person. And so you sit there and you go, well, child-operated firearm, are they talking about toy guns? Or are they banning toy guns? No, they're not. They're talking about real firearms. And this is how the state of New York is defining a would-be child-operated firearm. For purposes of this section, child-operated firearm means a pistol or revolver manufactured 12 months or more after the effective date of this section, which does not contain a child-proofing device or mechanism incorporated into the design of such a pistol or revolver to effectively preclude an average 5-year-old child from operating the pistol or revolver. Such devices or mechanisms shall include, but not be limited to, the capacity to adjust the trigger resistance to at least a 10-pound pole, the capacity to alter the firing mechanism so that an average 5-year-old child's hands are too small to operate the pistol or revolver, or the capacity to require a series of multiple motions in order to fire the pistol or revolver. Okay, and if you don't believe what I'm saying, look it up yourself. But yes, let's take a look at what this legislation would require, because any firearm sold in New York, if this bill becomes law, of 1 year after the date, has to be equipped with any or all of the following. The capacity to adjust the trigger resistance to at least a 10-pound pole. The capacity to alter the firing mechanism so that an average 5-year-old child's hands are too small to operate the pistol or revolver. Or the capacity to require a series of multiple motions in order to fire the pistol or revolver. Oh, and then just to throw a little sugar on top, they would give unfettered discretion to your state police to figure out what really is an appropriate child-proof firearm. Because the law would also read, the superintendent of the state police shall, in consultation with such gun manufacturers as such superintendent deems appropriate, adopt rules and regulations establishing minimum standards for child-proofing devices or mechanisms to ensure that such child-proofing devices or mechanisms are safe and effective. And any person who ends up violating this, if it becomes law, will be guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. Now, to the good folks of New York who have sponsored this bill, while I certainly understand the need to keep children away from firearms, The last time I checked the crime statistics in the state of New York, children shooting people is not your problem. The other thing I would say is, why is it that we need to child-proof guns for any child up to the age of 5 years old, but once they turn age 6, then it's perfectly okay to allow them to access a firearm? And finally, we want a shooter to have to go through multiple steps in order to be able to fire the weapon, thus making sure that it is absolutely ineffective as a self-defense weapon. And if you talk to anybody who really has a tactical training, not this guy, but people who really do have tactical trainings, they will scold you for those people who don't carry one in the chamber, because the mere act of having to load that firearm is often the difference between life and death. So, New York, you have done a lot of crazy things. Your governor has gone completely crazy ever since the New York Pistol and Rifle Association v. Bruin case came out. Your Concealed Carry Improvement Act was absolutely one of the most horrible pieces of legislation we have seen in the last 24 months, and that's saying something. But to Representative O'Donnell and the great state of New York, Assembly Bill A 4271, currently, as we sit today, in February of 2023, is in fact the dumbest piece of gun legislation we have ever seen. Listen, if you have more questions about other stupid pieces of gun legislation or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know the drill by now. You can always contact us directly at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or you can call us at 425-765-0487. Now, in the meantime, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.